Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Fintech Hunting podcast. We have an amazing guest for you today. She's an industry thought leader, a technology evangelist. Please help me welcome to the show, Bridget Trevino. She is Vice President of Sales at Rapidio. Bridget, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael.
Oh, well, it is great to have you. Before we dive into tech and everything that you guys are doing, tell our listeners a little bit about your background. You've been in financial services. Give everyone a little understanding of who you are and kind of how you got into this wonderful industry we call mortgage technology.
Oh, believe it or not, this year was my 20-year anniversary. Although I took a break in 2008 during that mortgage fiasco,
Yep.
I was sucked back in by what I like to call the mortgage mafia. Although I've seen the mortgage process from different capacities, the majority of my experience is actually in the mortgage insurance space. But about 5 years ago, I was lured away by the promises of AI underwriting, and I have never looked back.
Awesome. Well, we are so glad that you're here on the show. You have a wealth of knowledge and expertise. I think the whole journey in financial services really gives you a lot of different vantage points. So let's first start a little bit about what you're seeing in the market. I know it's a tough market, so we don't have to kind of regurgitate that, but in a tough market, where do you see lenders focusing their time, their attention? Where can they get the greatest uplift or the biggest cost savings? Help us with that a little bit.
And not to beat a dead horse, right? So we all know what the industry's doing. And this isn't my first rodeo or experience with the ups and downs of our industry. But what I feel like that happens when we're down both professionally and personally, it gives us the opportunity to reflect and look at what worked and what didn't work and make changes or improvements on those processes, learning from the past, and hopefully you do better next time. And so that's what I feel that I'm in the calls and all the conversations that I'm having. I think people are taking that time to really look at, I say, look in the closet, right? So look in their closet and let's clean out what's not working and maybe change the flow of things a little bit. And so I've been having a lot of conversations with people looking for maybe different technologies or different processes that they could use in their system. We all know that the cost of manufacturing alone has skyrocketed. And I think a lot of that was a lot of the technology that everybody adopted because they were solving for capacity issues. So we are no longer in that situation, and how can we clean that up?
Well, and I think too that people have to understand how to vet technology, and too many of us have looked at the shiny object over the last couple of years, especially when you're dealing with capacity issues, and throw some of this and throw some of that, and they don't really look at the cost to run those. Like you said, the cost to manufacture a loan has continued to rise. A little glimmer of hope came out from the MBA last week that instead of it being over 13,000, it's now down to 11,000 something. Well, that's still crazy. It's still atrocious, and even though some people are celebrating that, people are still losing money on every loan. That's not sustainable. So let's talk a little bit about Rapidio. I don't know if a lot of people have heard of you guys. What do you do? Where do you fit in? And then I'll ask you kind of like, why would you roll out new fintech in this crazy market? But first, tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we'll go into that.
Right. So it is a crazy time, like you said. And with the benefit of hindsight, so Rapidio's created a platform that's a little bit different than what we've seen. We took kind of the experiences that we've had and tried to solve for those. So on one hand, there's these end-to-end solutions, right? So they do the full underwrite, and that solves for capacity issues, which we really don't need right now. And then we've got the plugins, right? So people are building their own kind of tech stack with all these different plugins. And the problem with that is you're paying for it whether you use it or not. And Rapidio kind of sits in the middle, taking the best from both worlds. And what better time than to explore the new processes than right now when we're in the down market? What we really have that's different is we have a component system. I know that's not a new concept, but we take that component system and it boils down to two things. We want to empower the user and enable loan level cost control, right? So these components are not tech stacks that you put in. You're able to actually pick a component on the loan level so you never overpay, and you're not plugging in different technologies, and are committed to using them. So for example, let's say you have a loan that has an income waiver. If you were to use an end-to-end solution, you're paying that price no matter what. If you had plugins, you may not be able to have the option of choosing whether or not you use the income component. With us, all the components of an underwrite are available to you. You choose which component you need. So if you have an income waiver, don't click on that. Don't use our income, use our title, liabilities, assets, closing. And so you get to choose which component, which allows you to keep your costs down on a loan level basis.
Well, and I think that's critical. I spoke on an underwriting panel at the ICE Experience Conference last year, and
Yeah.
you had basically two sides of the spectrum, people that loved technology and fully embraced it and wanted the end to end and didn't care if it eliminated some people. But the majority was, hey, as an underwriter, I still have to sign off on that. If
Yeah.
there's a buyback, I'm the one who's still on the hook for that. And so you saw a resistance to going with the whole tech platform, the, A to Z solution. And that's why I love what you guys are doing of, I can pick the components I need. So what it allows, from what I'm hearing from you, what it allows me to do if I'm an underwriter, saying, I still get to use my knowledge, my expertise, but on some of these manual redundant tasks, if I can gain efficiencies, but only pay for those manual redundant tasks that I want to supplement, that's very, very powerful. And I think it's interesting is you guys are a company that has a wealth of knowledge and experience, but a relatively new entity. So the people, like you said, you've got 20 plus years in the industry. I know we had another discussion and other people in the organization have 20, 30 years in the industry. So you come with a wealth of knowledge, but a fresh new company, a new outlook on it. Tell me some of the areas that lenders are finding the biggest uplifts in using these components and being able to stack them into their tech stack.
Sure. So we are a new company here in the US, but we actually have 10 years of experience in the European market. So we took that experience and applied it here in the US. We kind of had to, obviously, things are done very differently, especially the mortgage process. But
Yep.
so we had to rebuild quite a bit. But again, in hindsight, the tool was built in mind to give the power back to the underwriter. So we don't have, or I don't feel that we're going to have the same user adoption challenges that you spoke of. We believe that the expertise of the underwriter cannot be replaced. And I don't think you're going to hear a lot of that coming from AI underwriting tools. They control where and when they need to deploy a component, and they make that final decision. We are just the tool, they are the solution. And so a lot of the feedback I'm getting is the underwriter's like, that's what I need. Like, I don't need you to tell me what to do because I'm the expert. But if I can decide this is where I need the help. So I'm at full capacity. I need 10 files to be underwritten because we're in a boom, we can take care of that. Or, you know what, this income is crazy. It's going to take me all day and I've got 5 files sitting on my desk. I just need you to take care of the income. We're going to click on the income component and that's all you're charged for. That's the only fee you have to pay. So having that underwriter control and having the loan level cost control, those are the two biggest things that we're hearing from people using it today.
So where do you see, what's the vision of what's kind of next? Where are you guys gaining traction and where are people getting very excited about the solution and kind of where does it go from here for the rest of this year?
So one thing that I think Rapidio's doing that is going to get a little bit of attention and will kind of boost our users is that we don't actually charge for data or document classification and data extraction. So the tech's not new, right? So it's been around for a while. And the philosophy of our founders is that the value lies in what you do with the data. Obviously, it needs to be fast and accurate, but the data belongs to our customers and they shouldn't have to pay to access it. So we're able to commoditize that service and then level the playing field, offering just the tools needed to get their job done. So I think that might change things.
Hold on a sec. Wait, I mean, I want to get this clear. I want to make sure that I didn't mishear you and my listeners are not mishearing you. So you said basically, I don't need an OCR solution. I don't have to pay all of this money. I'm going to be able, you're going to do that for me. You're going to grab the data from the documents and you're going to provide it to me at no additional cost, no cost at all.
That's correct. It's It's your data. We don't believe that we should be charging you to give you your own data. It seems counterintuitive, right? We just want to be able to give you the tools to get your job done. You use the data, right? But you own that data. So that's correct. We are not charging for the document classification or data extraction because of the process that we have that we've been using for over the last 10 years in Europe. It's not part of our our pricing model, and it's not baked into the price either. So you'll see that when you'll see the pricing of each of the components.
Well, I'm sure you're making a lot of friends with other vendors who offer data extraction. I'm sure that's quite disruptive for what they do. But I also see it as a huge benefit to lenders right now in a challenging market as you're trying to lower the cost to originate. Instead of getting more fees to add on and say, hey, we got this great tool, we can do all this cool stuff with your data, but it's going to cost you a fortune to get the data out so that we can do anything with it. I love the
Exactly.
concept.
Thank you. Exactly.
So how is it being received with lenders then? When you start talking to them and you say, well, we're not going to charge you for data extraction.
Well, I think with any new technology, there's an element of distrust, right? So, okay, well, let's give it a try. So, because there isn't a huge integration to use our service, we don't have you don't have to use any of your resources. We actually offer 2 weeks free. So give it a chance, right? So let's show you. Yes, we're just going to use your data. We're going to use the documents. We kind of go through the explaining the process that we use so that they understand, oh, okay, well, this makes sense. And then they get to use it for 2 weeks. So after the 2 weeks, it's actually less than 2 weeks. They're saying, this is amazing. This is working. And we're hearing that from the actual users, not the people that pay the bills, if that makes sense.
Right. Not the executive who's saying, I'm trying to cut cost and kind of hoping that it will, but you're talking about the power users, the underwriters. They're the ones who are using the tool and they're finding it fascinating. I love the idea. And I think one of the things that we have to realize is in challenging markets, there's also great opportunity,
Yeah.
right? And people, like you said, take a step back and rethink things. This is a perfect example of rethinking your process, rethinking how you can help underwriters. And
Mhm.
then the other benefit I see from a solution like this is when the market turns, and you and I have been in the industry long enough, we know the market will turn.
Yeah.
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if it's going to be 3 months or 6 months or a year and a half. But when it does, this should also help with capacity so that we just don't throw more bodies at it when
100%.
rates go down.
100%. And that's another core philosophy of the company is when you need more capacity, what we're seeing, and it's heartbreaking, right? So being in the industry 20 years, you have so many friends and family that is in the industry, getting a good job and then losing their job and getting a job and losing their job. And that cycle is just killing, especially I'm in the Detroit, Michigan area, and I feel like that really hits us hard because of all the mortgage entities here. So one of their philosophies is let's try to curb that curve so much, right? So if we can solve for the capacity using the underwriters that have the highest expertise that you have, give them the tools they need to be able to increase capacity or decrease capacity by using the component system, hopefully we can solve for that.
I love it. So, Bridget, you've shared a ton of great stuff. I know people are taking notes. They're going to go back and re-listen to some of these things. If people want to get a hold of you, if they want to get this free 2 weeks, if they want to try the data extraction, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you and find out more about this wonderful tool and incredible offer?
Sure. So you can get on the website. It's rapidio.com. You can communicate with me. It's bridget.trevino@rapidio.com. And we are an emerging technology. We are finishing beta testing, just so you know. So all those clients I'm talking about. So as of the beginning of September, we are full board able to go live.
Awesome. So people check it out. They've doing some incredible things. I love to bring on new innovative solutions so that we can help lenders address today's market conditions and give them the tools that they're better prepared to be more profitable when the market does turn. Bridget, thank you so much for being a guest on this episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast.
Thanks, Michael.